What's up, YouTube? Murphy Firearms training here with the GFY1 from G-Force Arms. So here's our gun. Notice it is unloaded. I'm going to go ahead and take the magazine out, set that off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and close the bolt just because I don't want it to snap shut on me later. Okay. What have I done since the unboxing video? Fixed the front sight. The front sight was on backwards. It is on correctly now. This flat was over here. Whoever put it on the factory just put it on backwards. And I got this little AIM Sports aluminum handle I added to the front. Really like that. It had something I had laying around. And then I reversed the charging handle. So the charging handle on this gun just pulls out. It's got these two little indents here. And there are detents that grab onto that down in the gun. And there's a high spot. And that high spot goes down. And so you can just wiggle that and it pops in. And you can wiggle it. And it pops out. It had this rubber boot on it. And I took that rubber boot off. I didn't like that. So I'm going to go ahead and take the charging handle out. I'm going to explain how this gun goes together. It's two pieces. It's a lower. So you'll see there's a seam here. This piece of polymer goes all the way to here. Okay. So all the way to the front of the trigger guard here. That's all polymer. That's your lower. And then this here is your upper. The hand guard is separate from the barrel and the action. Okay. So, and there's three things that hold this together. There's two pins. And then this Picatinny rail actually slides into the lower here. And that keeps the lower pinched to the upper there. So it's kind of a neat little thing. And you've got this sling swivel attachment point that's also a spacer. That's the one thing I really don't like so far is that spacer. I'd like to get rid of that. But anyway, we'll see. I may do that at some point. So how to take this thing apart is really simple. This is not your barrel. This is actually like a barrel nut. And so you're going to turn it lefty-loosey. You'll see it has a detent. This is all aluminum. It has this big ball, okay, this little detent ball. And that actually clicks into these little recesses here, okay? So that comes off. This is your actual barrel here with your removable choke, okay? So, and this entire hand guard here is held on by that barrel extension. And so I can just give this a wrap or two and it will slide right off. So the hand guard comes off. You're exposing your barrel here. Okay. Now, to get the two pieces apart, you have to drive these two pins out. Okay. You have actually three pins in the gun. One here, and then one with a screw. And it says on the manual, do not adjust, do not remove, do not. So this screw actually holds in your hammer and trigger group. And I'll show you that when I get the gun apart. But so to drive these pins out, what I have found, there's no easy way to do this, but I just use a little brass. I have a little brass hammer. If you've seen my videos, you've seen it before. Actually, I made it myself on a lathe. And I'm just going to give those a little wrap, and the rear pin usually will come out fairly easily if you squeeze the parts together, but it's going to make a liar of me today. And to keep from marring the finish, I just take a pair of vice grips here, okay, and I'll take a rag, and what I do is I just put the vice grips onto the rag so that when I press down, I'm pressing on the rag and not the polymer, okay? And just pull that like so. Kind of use your leverage. There we go. It's quite tough, actually. The pins are really springy. They're really tough to get out of there. But anyway, and I'm a utilitarian person. I don't have a lot of what I call pretty guns. So for me, I don't care if there's a scratch here or there. But if you're working on someone else's gun, or, you know, if you do care, it matters. So anyway, you'll pull those two pins and that separates the two parts. So this is your lower. Like I said, it's all polymer. And I'm sorry, that screw doesn't hold in the hammer group. That's these two E-clipped pins here hold in the hammer group. This actually holds in your feed ramp for your mag, as well as, so just the feed ramp for your shells there. So, but they say not to remove that, so we're not going to remove it. Here's your trigger bar. So I'll hold the hammer so you can see. It's just, there's your trigger. You got this connecting bar that runs back to your hammer group. It's very similar. It's got a catch just like an AR-15 would. So if you pull the trigger and you hold it, it catches, and then when you let go, it resets on the sear. So it's very similar to an AR-15. Bolt release is fairly similar to an AR-15's as well. So anyway, that's your lower, and that's it. We'll set it to the side. We don't really need it for anything. So the upper, how to get this apart to clean it. The sling swivel stud and spacer come off. And then to get this off, you got to do a couple of things. So here's your gas piston, and it's in this housing. And this housing is a two-piece housing. So you have to hold here, grab this knurled piece, turn it left, counterclockwise. Okay, you thread that off. Now you have to push down against the spring, and there's a split ring in here. So you're going to pull that split ring. There's one half, and there's the other half. Okay, comes out of that groove. Now your gas piston and the housing for the piston come off. Okay, and so at this point you've got everything off that you can get off without using the tool that they provide you in the box, this little spanner wrench. To get the bolt and the bolt carrier and the spring off, to clean all of this, you have to take this nut off. In the manual, it says, let me grab it. On step 13, it says remove the forearm connecting the barrel with the main body, turn left side. I did not know what that meant, but I'm going to tell you what it means. And what it means is this nut is reverse thread. So it is not lefty-loosey, it is righty-loosey. Okay, so you have to actually turn it to the right. You have to turn it clockwise to break it free. And I'm going to try and do that on camera, but it is snug. And I'm going to show you a secret. I'm going to set that there so I can get to this. I actually set my spanner wrench on the bench, and I grab this with both hands, and I just push against my bench. Okay, works a whole lot easier than trying to hold this with one hand and turn the spanner with the other. Okay, so it is weird that you're going to turn this to the right. Okay, but you'll see that it's starting to loosen as I turn it clockwise. So it is reverse threaded, and they don't say that in the manual. The way they say it in the manual doesn't make a lot of sense. So, at least not to me. But this is how we take it apart. Okay? So let's almost. Okay. So, cool. And this whole assembly comes out like so. And then you can take the bolt out. The bolt actually sticks in the barrel extension. You can take the carrier. So there's your carrier, there's your spring, and then there's your bolt. Okay, so that's totally disassembled to clean your barrel, to clean your bolt, to oil your spring, to clean your action, to do all of that. Okay, then we put it back together. To put it back together, we're going to set this, the bolt actually goes into the barrel extension and sits. You see where the extractor fits right in that groove. Okay, that goes there. Your spring goes on your barrel. Your carrier goes over your spring. And your carrier locks into your bolt like so. Okay, so you kind of get this whole assembly with your bolt and your carrier and your spring all, and that all slides into your receiver. Okay, so that whole assembly slides into your receiver, and we're going to turn it to the left counterclockwise to tighten it, which is so very backwards to everything you work on, but that's how you do it. Okay. Oddly enough, you know, the barrel extension and the gas system are not reverse thread on this shotgun, just this nut that holds the barrel into the receiver. So not really sure why they chose to do that. But anyway, you'll turn that, like I said, lefty tighty. Put that against the bench and give it a good oomph. Okay, so that's nice and snug. That's ready to go. And then you'll put your gas piston on. Okay, so your gas piston goes on. Then your gas piston housing goes on. Okay, and you could put the gas piston in there before you put it on if you wanted to be lazy. And then you've got to push this down to put these split rings back. Okay, so put one ring there, and see if I can do this with the camera. There we go. Okay, not quite on camera. So we get those split rings back in place, slide that gas housing over it. Okay, there you go. And I didn't show you, but the two holes for the gas system are right here in the barrel. And then we put that on, and it is righty-tighty. Okay, so you hold here, and you tighten here. Okay, cool. Put your spacer back on. If you put this on too late, you have to take the whole gun back apart. So put that back on. Unfortunately, I don't like that sling stud sticking out like that. But because it is a spacer for the handguard, I don't think you can leave it out. And I may try that at some point, but I don't think it'll work. We'll see. I'll let you know if I try it. Sometimes I'm a little shy about trying something on a gun, you know, because it's designed a certain way. All right, cool. So we're going to make this back up to the lower. And hopefully it will fall in place pretty easily. And of course it's not. There we go. Okay, so we make this up and we get our pins, and hopefully they will go with ease. We get our two pins, and again I just use a brass hammer, and that way I don't worry too much about marring my finish. Okay, so brass hammer works great for that. We've got our spacer in place. You put your handguard back, and I want to show you this as I line this up. Okay, so you start sliding your handguard on, and you'll see the groove in the lower matches your lower rail, and that actually pulls up any slack where this polymer wants to kind of sag at the front where the trigger is. So that's kind of cool. And you just snap that together, voila, and you put your barrel nut back on. Okay, so put your barrel nut back on, and that keeps this from sliding off. So when I first bought the gun, I thought I'd love to take that extra piece of barrel off, get that nice and tight. Okay, last thing is put your charging handle back. It's got this bump, right? So if you look at it, it's got a high spot there in the middle, if it'll focus. That high spot goes down towards the trigger. You can put it on the right-hand side, or you can put it on the left-hand side. I want this to be a left charging handle, so I'm going to put it on the left-hand side. That's it. That's how you take it apart. That's how you put it back together. It's pretty quick. It's pretty simple. And it's pretty easy to use once you know what you're doing. You do have to have the little spanner wrench that came with the gun. Definitely a must. Now, the only other thing I wanted to do is I actually have my Lyman trigger gauge laying here. And it doesn't seem to want to work lately. I don't know why. Let's see if I can get it to beep for me. It's come on. Come on. Anyway, but let me go ahead and make sure that we have a functioning gun. Okay, cool. So we have a functioning firearm here. And I want to run a couple of trigger pulls just to see how this does. I did a few off camera and it did great. It was 8.5 pounds basically. Let me see if this will read or not. Nope, nothing. I'm not getting a reading. Let me, I don't know why it's not beeping for me. I don't know. Maybe I need new batteries. Give me a second. Let me play with it. All right, so we got a beep here finally. Let me pull the trigger. Helps if you reset the trigger, doesn't it? Try that again. We got this huge trigger pull. All right, here we go. Let's pull the trigger. Okay, so 8 pounds, 4.7 ounces. Let's try a couple more. 8 pounds, 0.8 ounces. And let's do one more. 8 pounds, 12 ounces. So right around 8.5 pounds, you know, give or take a few ounces. For a bullpup, that's honestly like really good. So anyway, my next video on this gun will be me with it at the range. And real quick, the things I've done, I fixed the front sight because it was on backwards. Someone pointed that out in the unboxing video. You know, I guess the guy, it was Friday when they put it together maybe. I added this vertical grip. I reversed this charging handle and had this big rubber pad on it. I took that off. I just wanted the metal, just the metal tube for that. So that's really all I've done. I'm going to take it to the range, see what it'll cycle. Hopefully it'll run reliably. I've got a 10-round stick and a 20-round drum. So keep an eye out for that video. Very excited about that. But I hope that helps you take your gun apart and clean it. Mine was filthy from the factory. They had definitely test fired it with some pretty dirty ammo. Excuse me. And so I cleaned it up, and I'm hoping that'll help it cycle. We'll see. And I'll let you know. Appreciate your support, guys. Like and subscribe. Thanks.